Sit atop a mountain, listen with a soup can. In the South, he's not a liar, just the leader of a bad band that in Europe get together and in secret praise the people. My granddad fought in the lowlands, at the Scheldt got shot to pieces so they could rehash their allegiance to a national convenience that preys on easy difference. You know, fear, it's just a weakness. And yeah, it's been one of them years. The poor that it pity, but only from a distance. Pull on your tender heartstrings, the price of an everyday existence. And the Lazarus was wrong. Fuck your team and huddled parasitics. Somehow kids from Nicaragua, where they're invading West Virginia, maybe they're looking farly north. Maybe what you got, you get it in you. I seem to remember things that mattered, that no longer count as anything. Yeah, it's been one of them years. The sea ain't really rising, baby, you're just getting shorter. Never mind the science, then back to nature's cause dysphoria. And them pictures of the planet adopted so it looks like a place akin to heaven, but only from a distance. Nobody likes your headscarf, but they wear masks in the resistance. Either way, forget the answers, since we perfected pointing fingers. And yeah, it's been one of them years. You can only fool the people the other half the time we're sleeping. So that's pretty much the bag, and bag men never won for reasons. So transform the house, cause the house always wins. And baby, you know that I've wasted a lot of time just thinking, when thinking's overrated compared to reactionary blinking. So I'm just sitting here reflecting on the things I could have done. And yeah, it's been one of them years. Yeah, it's been one of them years. Sit atop a mountain, listen with a soup can for a distant whistle by a dog so he can. Yeah, it's been one of them years.
Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another We Read the Documents live stream. I'm your host, John Brisson. This time last year, give or take, a park ranger gave me this hat. A man who I admire very much, who'll call a dear friend, who used to try to get some bears together to listen to him. And some would and some wouldn't. I'm not a park ranger. I'm a sheriff. Detective. Detective as you would be. And so I can get on here I can get angry with you guys. I could yell and I can scream about Jason Bermas and be angry and feed into the anger and stoke the anger and what it gives. It's a good feeling. It's a sinful feeling. That doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't help anything. I'm not going to say that anger is never useful. Righteous anger is useful. But a lot of the anger that I show towards certain people, though it may seem righteous, a lot of it is just because I'm frustrated. Because I know many people out there listening are frustrated too. They're frustrated with life. They're frustrated with the people that claim to be truthers and the information that they give. They're frustrated with the mainstream media. They're frustrated with the alternative media. They're frustrated with the alternative to the alternative media. They're frustrated with their lives and where they are. Some people are even frustrated with God. Shouldn't be. There's a lot of people that are. So tonight, I'm going to talk about Jason Bermas. Shout out to Carson in the chat. Thank you for sharing this with me, bringing this to my attention. Yeah, when I first heard this, I was mad. I was angry. I was frustrated. But I listened to it. Now, my first thing I thought I was going to do was come out here and speak to y'all. If I would have done that, it would have been in the flesh. It would have been right then and there. I would have gone in here, probably cursed, probably yelled at the top of my lungs about how angry this makes me feel and how foolish Jason Bermas is. And I've burnt the bridge a long time ago of trying to even have a debate or conversation with Jason. No, I don't think he would have one with me. But nonetheless, it is important that I cover this. It's important that I talk about this because there are a lot of people who are still deceived by Jason Bermas. They're still deceived by who he is, that he appears to be an honest truth teller. But he's anything but. He's an opportunist. He is a person that will give his services out, sadly, to the highest bidder, to who pays. He won't challenge his audience. He won't challenge the people of whom he works for. It's the bottom dollar with Bermas. It's what it is. And it's sad. It's sad. You know, there's people out there that I consider to be operatives. Those are people that work directly with the intelligence agencies or the military of various governments throughout the world. Michael Flynn would be an example of someone of such stature. Council for National Policy member Michael Flynn. Then you have the opportunists, the ones who will do it for the clout or do it for the money or do it just to watch the world burn or the chaos. Bermas fits the bill for the money. That's what he feels that fits the bill for. And then you have people that try to earnestly get down to the bottom of the truth. They don't always have it right. No one does. There's only one thing that we can truly know or truly obtain, which is the objective truth of God the Father and Jesus Christ. But outside of that, it's just a lot of it is just us guessing or what our opinions are, what we think is happening, unless we're truly there. And even there, then if you're truly there, you might not truly grasp everything that goes on with an event or everything that goes on with an occurrence of something that happens. You might not know the complete side of the story. You only know your side of the story, so it's subjectivism. But that's what used to be what the truth movement, at least the people that were striving for the truth. The truth made of itself has always been co-opted. But it was people trying to get to the bottom of some sort of objective truth, some sort of agreed upon truth, as Jimmy Jean would say, shout out to Jimmy Jean, agreement reality. Well, it's no longer about that. It's about true subjectivism and Gnosticism at this point. It's about people's truths or your truth. It's not about the truth anymore. Some people could say it never was. The movement never represented that, and I would agree with that. I mean, one of the earliest truthers or conspiracy theorists in modern times that you can give an example of would be Alice Bailey. theosophists. But there are people that were searching for the truth. Now, granted, the objective truth, the truth that hopefully God gives grace to so that people will know, is God the Father and Jesus Christ. That's really the most important truth out of all of them. But there are truth about events. There's truth about what happens. There's truth that's happened in history. And, not everybody is going to get it right 100% of the time. Lord knows I don't. I've made mistakes. I've admitted when I was wrong. But that's important. And a lot of people don't do that. So Bermas goes along. It's for him, it's about how he can live his life. And I'm not going to say that he doesn't tell the truth on some things. He does. Or what appears to be the truth. He does. I'd be lying to you if I said otherwise. But if you haven't gotten it by now, if you haven't understood that Bermas, who used to consider himself to be a Q slayer, has yoked him up with the QAnon operation through the Clay Clark Reawakened America Tour and with Roger Stone and CNP Michael Flynn, if you can't come to the conclusion, now through the many streams I've done on this channel, or just watching Jason Bermas on an average day and who he tends to interact with, and the views that he discusses and espouses, I got nothing for you. It's obvious. I discussed this months ago. I saw it coming. Sometimes I have a difficult time expressing myself or explaining myself or what's in my head. That's not anybody who's listened's fault. That's my fault. I'm trying to work on that. I am. But I saw this coming. Intuition, I saw this coming. So today, this is when the mask completely comes off for Jason Bermas. If you can't see it now, you'll never see it. Or you're unlikely to see it. Let's begin.
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and today we are going to talk about...
This is Jason Bermas' new show, Reality Rants, on Red Voice Media. Now, if you go look up Red Voice Media, they're likely involved with the Council for National Policy. It seems to be a right-wing organization pushing right-wing talking points, especially a person who seems to be around the orbit of the QAnon operation, or at least a MAGA pusher, which is Stu Peters. They seem to platform boost him over there when they're platform boosting Jason Bermas. Okay, so Jason Bermas is now being platform boosted by Red Voice Media. He's being platform boosted by Council for National Policy Alex Jones and InfoWars. He's being platform boosted by Clay Clark and the Reawakened America Tour and General Michael Flynn and Roger Stone. So, yeah, this is who Bermas associates with it. It's not one connection. It's not two connections. It's not three connections. He openly talks about these people and openly interacts with them. And from it's from a good stance. He excuses Michael Flynn. He claims that he at times had issues with Roger Stone, but chooses to interact with Roger Stone to talk good things about Roger Stone. It's not only the guilt by association connections, which there are numerous. And at what point do numerous connections become guilt by association? Especially connections that you put yourself in, or you insert yourself into those connections, or you make those connections. But when you start excusing people, when you start platform boosting people, when you start narrative hijacking, well, it goes much greater than that. It no longer becomes the illogical fallacy of guilt by association. You're in. You're in the club. Or you're at least in the lower club. That's where Bermas is. He's an opportunist. I don't think he's an operative. I think he's an opportunist. He's a gun for hire. These people pay him. They're in the truth that he's allowed himself to give and what he's told. And so he's comfortable with that, so he's not going to go any further. And you're going to hear that through this stream, this clip tonight. He's not going to go any further than he feels comfortable about, or any further than they tell him that he can go.
Two separate series, one on Vice and now one streaming on Peacock, with all of the weight of NBC Universal behind it, in my opinion, called Shadowland and In Search of QAnon. The Search for Q. Now, I've watched both these things, and the overwhelming message that is being portrayed to the audience is, if you question authority at all, okay, number one, you're a problem.
There is some of that in the Stanley McChrystal, though I hate to call it this, Blue Anon, the progressive or left side of the operation. Yes, if you go against any type of authority or any type of power structure or any type of institution, you're trying to destroy America. Or if you point out any problem with said institution, like the issues with Big Pharma or the issues with Big Tech, you're a Russian agent. You're trying to destroy America. Now, there are people who likely work with Russia or Fabian socialists or the CNP, and they're trying to do that. Yes, of course. But not everybody. If you question a narrative, that doesn't make you you're against America. You're against the American people. You're against you're kind of just trying to destroy, destabilizing the country. That's a far belief of that. You know, with the left at one time, they were doing themselves, right? During the time of the 60s and the hippies, the counterculture, which there's issues with that, of course, but now they're upholding institutions, where they used to be the conservatives, the Fabian socialists that were upholding the institutions. Even though the modern representation of the Fabians, they destabilize institutions, but slowly, wolf in sheep's clothing. Check Jesse Spott's video that I mirrored on the great video that he did on Fabian socialism. But if you don't understand it. But, you know, Bermas, again, not everything he says is a lie. Not everything he says is he incorrect on. But the thing is that he is incorrect on, which he may earnestly believe. I don't think he does, because he's an opportunist on certain things that we discussed later. They're just flat out wrong. It's obfuscation, it's narrative hijacking, and it's embarrassing.
You're a conspiracy theorist, and in turn, you are the new domestic terror threat. Now, in season 1 of the search for QAnon, all right, I would say that they actually did some investigative journalism. They talked about DEF CON. They went down some of the rabbit holes, if you will, of basically where it actually originated. And most of these series, including the HBO one, which is completely separate, all obfuscate that. They never really tell you where it began and why it began and what kind of a hoax it truly was. They wanted to focus.
It's just a hoax, you guys. The QAnon operation was just a hoax. But okay, Jason. What do you have to say? Let's hear it, bud. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
On players that they thought were manipulating it. And that's where the second season of this search for QAnon goes, where they try to pin it on Michael Flynn.
Okay. So Michael Flynn, though he wasn't I don't think he was the originator, but Michael Flynn's very high up in the QAnon operation. He takes orders from Stanley McChrystal, who is higher up. We don't really know who's above McChrystal. We know that there's people that are above McChrystal, but we know that Stanley McChrystal, Michael Flynn, Stephen K. Bannon, CNP Stephen K. Bannon, CNP Mercers, they're very high up in the QAnon operation. Cambridge Analytica is a very big part of it. We know this to be true So if you say that they're wrong by just trying to pin it on Michael Flynn himself and not mention any of them, and they won't talk about McChrystal. The progressives just won't. Okay, very few of them will. But then again, very few of the conservatives will even mention McChrystal was a part of it. You know, McChrystal holds the progressive or left part of the QAnon operation, and Flynn does the right. And so let's see what Bermas says. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Bermas just says because if they're only trying to pin it on Michael Flynn, that is wrong. It's not only him, but he is a major part of it.
Look, love Michael Flynn, hate Michael Flynn. I truly do not believe that Michael Flynn on the ground, number one, had anything to do with the origins of QAnon.
You're lying, Jason. Your body language, your demeanor, you're not telling the truth. You're flat out lying. Everybody can see it. You were lying. You know good and well that Michael Flynn was involved with the origins of QAnon. He was very high up in Cambridge Analytica, okay? Stephen K. Bannon was vice president of Cambridge Analytica. Michael Flynn failed to disclose that he worked for Cambridge Analytica in his financial documents for 2016. It is obvious. Now, all Bermas says here in this video is that, Flynn's family took the oath. They fell for it. Nah, it's more than that, Jason, and you know it is. But you claim that you defeated the QAnon operation. You did. But yet you fraternize with Flynn on the Reawaken America tour, and I've played in previous videos. You even said that Flynn should be Secretary of Defense if Kristen Noem wins or if Trump wins again. Some CNP candidate, because it's not about the right or left with you, is it, Bermas? Because you say that every 5 seconds. It's not really about the right or left. It's not really about the right or left. It's about right or wrong. Well, if that was the case, then why are all your candidates CNP? Why is everybody that I won't say everybody, most of the people you interact with, they're either members of the Council for National Policy or they're adjacent to the Council for National Policy or have numerous connections to the Council for National Policy. And you won't talk about the CNP, Jason. And you won't debate me on the CNP. Why is that? Because they butter your bread. They allow you to bring home the bacon. Now, congrats that you have a fiance. Congrats that you're supposedly getting married. She's a journalist for the Gateway Pundit. You've talked about her. Gateway Pundit is kind of a controlled conservative CNP op. The Hoft brothers are degenerates. But you're not going to talk about that, are we, Jason? We're not going to talk about going to get young men from Southeast Asia and marrying them the Hofts, are we, Jason? Because your fiance, she works for the Gateway Pundit, and you're going to platform boost and have the Hofts on, aren't you? The degenerates that they are, the filthy degenerates that they are. But no, that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
I think he may have played into it. Obviously he did that where we go where we go all thing with his family, right? But he's not the progenitor or originator of it. And as we discussed here on this broadcast, for anybody that's new, when Trump was asked about it twice, he kind of leaned into it, right? I don't think he wanted to upset what he saw was a viral base. All right, period. And I don't think that's a good thing, by the way. In fact, we were debunking what this QAnon narrative was from the very beginning because it discredited a lot of the things that are documented and that I and others have talked about for decades. Okay? So we're going to start with that, and where it went. Then we're going to get into Shadowland, which I was interviewed twice behind the scenes for. And I think there are a couple of reasons they didn't use me. I think they may have used me had I been speaking on the Reawaken America tour at the time, which I had no connection to. I don't even think I'd had Clay Clark on my program. But that's certainly a recurring theme of what is now being called QAnon 2.0 and being attacked, because you're also not allowed to have a spiritual side. So Shadowland, if you look at it, really, they focused on individual stories where they...
Okay, I was going to talk a lot about being spiritual. And we're going to get we're going to get something I didn't know here in a minute.
Could exploit them the most. And for instance, I was contacted by Marion Hanane after she heard me talk about how basically most of the people in there, they want to portray it as conspiracy theories, and QAnon have destroyed their lives and destroyed the lives of those around them. Now, in Miriam's case, they focus on her relationship with Zach Voorhees. And Zach is the Google whistleblower. We'll get into that in a moment. But that's their real focus, that dynamic, and they catch you at your worst. So in other words, you know, they show her crying in that, I believe, several times, right? Because they want to portray that. Now, I don't know that in the last, you know, I've had some tragic things happen in my family over the last year. That's probably the last time I let loose a tear, was when I lost my aunt, okay?
My condolences, Jason. I lost my uncle last year and my aunt, okay? So my condolences on that. It sucks when you lose a family member. I understand. You know, two humans for another there. My condolences for that, man. I don't think last year was a good year for most of us.
I didn't like is even when I was in agreement with some of these people that were in Shadowland. First of all, I was in agreement with a lot of them. Every time they were portrayed as this is tearing up my life. For instance, one woman tried to go the sovereign citizen type route and had been arrested at the Capitol. All right. And that journey is not good for her. And someone else who was with her just kind of went through the court thing and they were treated, you know, to probation. Both of these shows are doing one thing. They are framing it in a manner that they're saying a civil war is on the horizon and neighbor is going to fight neighbor. I don't feel that. I don't see that.
What world do you live in, Jason? Because I see it. I'm pretty sure many people listening in the chat see it. They're pushing for that. That is one of the outcomes, is a second American Civil War. So what, are you just in a conservative echo chamber? Now, granted, maybe things aren't as divided out in real life when you're walking around. Yet, because they've gaslit everybody. I mean, that's what the Great Reset, you know, everything that's going on right now, it's delayed the old world order bare. So the Great Awakening happens, the phony Great Awakening, which may be the beast system if we're truly living in the end times. Now, I want to do a video, you know, we may not. The end times could be 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now. Now, do I think that, you know, it is likely that these are the birth pangs and it's likely that, you know, the time is nigh? Yeah, I do. But I'm not going to sit here and come in here and tell you that it is. I'm going to come in here and tell you, like some people were doing, the rapture is going to be tomorrow. You know, there's some people, again, every time this year, around this time. Shout out to Mega Frequency. He did a really good podcast about this. I forgot his name. Maybe Laura from Magical Mystery Church. I forgot his name. I'd like to actually have him on this channel. Actually, I need to get up with Laura and have her on here. But you know, let me look it up real quick. So, Matthew 2:40-36, no one knows about the day or the hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so will be coming the Son of Man. For the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they were oblivious until the flood came and swept them all away. So will be coming the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, the other left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day on which your Lord will come. But understand this, if the homeowner had known in which watch of the night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would have not let his house be broken into. For this reason you may be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour you do not expect. Who then is the faithful and wise servant whom the master has put in charge of his household to give the others their food at the proper time? Blessed is the servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose the servant is wicked and says in his heart, my master will be away a long time, and he begins to beat his fellow servants and eat and drink with drunkards. The master of that servant will come on a day he does not expect, and an hour he does not anticipate. Then he will cut him to pieces, assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there'll be whipping and gnashing of teeth. Okay. So I do believe that Jesus alludes to that we'll have I think we'll have an inkling. We won't know the exact time and date, but we might know the seas. We might know the seas. We might have an inkling. Okay, especially if you really are walking with the Lord, and you're ready. You're like a watchman on the wall. I think we'll start to have an idea. Okay, we'll start to have an idea. All right. And maybe that time is now. I don't know. But I'm going to do a video of we don't know. We really don't. Okay. Do I think it's likely or possible that Donald Trump is the Antichrist? Well, here recently he did retruth a meme that he is second to Jesus as far as what has been done for the world or Christianity. And Don Jr. has said that before when asked, because of the Roe versus Wade overturn and Trump's Supreme Court picks, that he was second to Jesus as far as what has been done for humanity or as what has been done for Christians, which is just utter blasphemy. Trump is even a Christian. There are far greater men and women who have done more for Christendom and for God the Father and honoring Him and Jesus Christ, true born again believers, which Donald Trump and his family aren't even. John the Baptist, Paul, Mary, the mother of Jesus, King David, Rehab the harlot. It go on and on and on, right? Just to have that amount of delusion, to say, yeah, I haven't done as much as Jesus, but I'm second. Yeah, I've seen that book, Carson. Have you seen that book about Trump? There's actually 2. There's another book. There's actually 2 books out there. Hey, Free to Captives. Hope you're doing well, brother. God bless. Let's continue.
That's the narrative they want to push, all right? And that's because we absolutely live in a post-truth world. And Bilderberg warned you about this in 2018. Well, they didn't really warn you because barely anybody covers it. When they do, it's a
Jason, most people in alternative media cover Bilderberg. Who covers accounts for national policy? And who covers La Circle? I'm just curious. Who covers La Circle? Please, someone get... Who covers La Circle? Neil Sanders, me, Stephen Snyder, maybe? That's it? The guy who wrote the book, Rogue Agents? But he's going to be like, no one covers Bilderberg. Everybody covers Bilderberg. That's just simply not true. That's most people in alternative media cover Bilderberg. And who was at Bilderberg? Who was the shining star at Bilderberg? Peter Thiel. This year. Mm-hmm.
Conspiracy theory, right? And one of the reasons other than being basically interviewed for this twice and not selected, that I want to focus on it is because, of course, if you are into 9/11 truth, you have planted the seeds for QAnon nonsense. I source everything I say. We do watch-alongs with my documentary films and all of that because it's factual information. But again, they want you to believe in super secret message boards. And now the next thing is there's no spirituality to anything, right? So again, I'm not, and I think this would have been a problem for him. For instance, when
Hey,
they
Bermas.
go after,
We know you believe in the law of attraction, so I guess you would be spiritual and not religious, bud. Right? Because we know that you're not Christian. You're not born again. So, which Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and life, the only way. So, Bible-believing Christianity, being born again, is the only religion. All the rest are just subjective. But, you know, again, he keeps talking about being spiritual, not religious.
Greg Locke in Shadowlands, right? What are they focusing on with him? It's not that his life is in shambles or he's bad with his family. It's his connections to Roger Stone, right?
I didn't know that. Greg Locke in with Roger Stone. Huh. And Jason Bermas apologizes for Roger Stone. Roger Stone was you know, at a time working for Nexium, and you have the whole, did he take over the Roy Cohn sexual blackmail, pedophile blackmail ring? You know, Stone is as dirty as they come. So, yeah. Okay.
And it's his connections to Christianity, because those are things that they want to exploit. That's really the message of this.
Is it that Greg Locke's a Christian, or that he's a New Apostolic Reformation Christian, that he's pushing dominionism and he pushes Q narratives and he's working on the side of the Great Awakening for Satan, whether he realizes it or not? It's very sad that Greg Locke at one time had very sound doctrine, supposedly, but no longer does. And he, you know, he cheated on his wife and gaslit her, and then, you know, married his secretary. And, you know, Greg Locke is a fallen man. He's on the Clay Clark Reawaken America tours. He's everywhere. He's a very fallen man who should not be preaching. So, you know, are they going out, calling him out because he's a Christian, or because of the unsound doctrine that he preaches?
So beyond that, for those that don't know, I also was featured, and I had this individual on. I might repost this on Rumble. I reposted my New York Times interview, where I don't do these type of things unless, number one, we tape the interview, so I can't be taken out of context too much, and then you come on the show and face the music. Now, then I don't release the full interview. But this is from 2020. And
I mean, Greg Locke's hanging out with Jason Bermas, I guess, at Reawaken America tours, right? I guess. But, you know, he's going out of his way to defend Greg Locke. I mean, Greg Locke, Jason Bermas is like, he's hanging out with Roger Stone. He's got connections to Roger Stone. He's at the Reawaken America tour with Roger Stone. Greg Locke's pals with Roger Stone, who claims to be born again now. Greg Locke is pushed and good friends supposedly with Michael Flynn, CNP Michael Flynn. Reawaken America tour. Sharing the same stage. That's not good. Greg Locke is very much part of the phony false Great Awakening, the New Age Great Awakening.
You know,
Pray for Greg Locke. Pray that he comes out of the
9/11
deception.
truth is bad.
Pray that
You're
he
allowed to
repents and
believe in
turns to the
Bigfoot,
Lord.
right? According to we bent reality. We are the template for the current age of disinformation. All that's false. And again, you know, we're going to take over the field. I thought we were going to take over the world with truth at that point. I was naive and young. I didn't realize that we lived, or we're going to live, in a post-truth world, one that the QAnon sent.
No, we don't live in a post-truth world, Jason. God the Father and Jesus Christ, the truth is still there, brother. It's not gone. It never will be gone. We don't live in a post-truth world. Why would you even say something like that?
Would dominate. All right. So let's talk about this before we get more into Shadowland. Michael Flynn and the Reawaken America Tour are the targets. The targets. And
as they should be.
They run a lot of clips. They even ran a let me see. I'm trying to think. Actually, it was in Shadowlands where they were running clips of people like Timcast every once in a while. But they both
Temple, okay,
go into the narrative, the false narrative that somehow, again, it was an insurrection and that somehow people were trying to overtake the government on January 6th. Again, not armed, not an insurrection. Some people were stupid. I do believe it was provocatored in many places.
Oh, yeah, Blackwater was never provocatored by Alex Jones. Alex Jones never riled anybody up. Did you guys hear that leak audio of Roger Stone? What about that leak audio of Roger Stone? Roger Stone denies it. He denies the audio, but you just talk about people for treason. You know, Michael Flynn none of these people never riled anybody up. And psychographical and psychological and spiritual warfare had many people into the Capitol. There weren't Blackwater operatives there or Mossad or any. No, Bermas. No. It was just a few people. Just acted a little off in the Capitol. Michael Flynn had nothing to do with driving people there to the Capitol, Jason. Nothing to do with the QAnon operation. That's what you want people to believe. That's hogwash. I've done numerous shows with many people discussing how much hogwash that is. It's hogwash. It's hogwash.
I do believe other people were just dumb. And thought that the lords of QAnon and the white hats were coming to take over. I mean, that's the psyop, right?
That Michael Flynn was a major part of pushing, and though he claims he's washed his hands of it and that it was a psyop in a recent clip, okay, Flynn claims that now, he's still very much of a continuing psyop.
So now, Flynn is trying to mobilize politically, and it's like almost a companion piece to this hardcore AP News hit piece, Government Insider to Holy Warrior. So on the tour right now, which Miriam's now speaking on, and they actually mention that in the footnotes while they wrap up Shadowland, which is like 6 hours long. 6 episodes, all about an hour long. And both seasons of the QAnon thing are about that too. They're about 45 minutes-ish each, and I think there's 4 in each season. And again, the first one, not great, but it did some journalism, expose some of the people that were trying to exploit everything.
Look, I don't agree with everything that's being said on the controlled left part of QAnon about the Vice documentaries, the HBO documentaries, or anything. But there is some truth in them. It's not all complete lies. And Bermas says the second is so what do they do in the second? The second, they really go after Flynn, right? And Bermas is like, oh, that one's complete hogwash bullcrap. Flynn didn't have anything to do with it. He's a good man. He's a good Christian American. I don't know what a Christian is because I'm not a Christian. That's Bermas isn't one. He believes in the law of attraction. He's spiritual, not religious. Okay. But Flynn's a good Christian, patriotic man. He should be Secretary of Defense. I'd vote for Flynn for president. That'd make Flynn a good president. Bermas has practically said this stuff. He's practically said it on numerous streams that I played. I haven't even played it all. A lot of it, I swear, is just red meat for me to come on here and rant about. His show's called Reality Rants. I swear a lot of it is just tasty red meat he puts out there for me to come on here and rant about it. I couldn't pass this up. This was Wagyu. This was Wagyu steak. All right. Since I do have this hat, it's a sheriff's hat earlier, but I guess I'm a Western sheriff. All right, and this Western sheriff knows how to cook, and he's had himself some Wagyu steak meat. All right. So this exposes him too much for me. It could be red meat for all I know, but it's just too much. I couldn't pass up on this one. And I don't listen to everything Bermas does. I have other people that listen for me. You know, shout out to Carson in the chat. He told me I needed to listen to this, so I did. I hadn't even listened to it. I don't listen to Bermas all the time. I have people that tell me. There's many people out there that listen to him, so I don't have to. And they tell me, he says this. I go and check, and if he says it, you know, half the stuff, if I had to do shows on Bermas all the time with all the red meat he throws out there, I would do a show on him probably, you call me a stalker at this point. I can't. It's ludicrous and silly. But this, I have to discuss this. Because this is just too much. It's just too much. This video, if you had to listen to any video to expose Jason Bermas, other than the Christy Nome one where he's like, Flynn would make a good Secretary of Defense, this video completely exposes Bermas for the CNP opportunist that he is. He is the textbook definition. If you opened up a textbook of controlled opposition, or if you opened up the dictionary of controlled opposition, and you looked over the definition for an opportunist, okay, there'd be a picture of Jason Bermas on there. Highest bidder, whatever pays the bills, whatever butters the bread, whatever brings home the bacon, he'll do it. You know how much money I've made for We've Read the Documents over the past 3 or 4 years that I've been doing it? A few thousand, if that. If that. If that. And I want to thank everybody who's donated, everybody who's supported my work, everybody subscribes to our Patreon. Anybody who's helped me, God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not in this for the money. I'm just not. This isn't my job. It's something I do. It's something I enjoy doing, but I don't make a living off of this. I make a little bit of side money, but I don't make a living. I never have, and I never expect to. Truth selling, who's buying? It's like peace selling, who's buying? It's the same thing. Ain't no money in this. Dave McGowan worked as a barista. And now everybody thinks he's the darling of conspiracy. Yes, his books are excellent. His research is good. Truth doesn't sell. It just doesn't. No one wants to hear it. I'm thankful for everybody who likes my work, everything who supports my work. The people who honestly critique me, the people that aren't like, just come on like, I hate your stupid face, like that's, or I hate your sound of your voice, that. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for the, but there are people who have given me true constructive criticism that I've taken to heart. Sometimes I'm in the flesh. I get upset about it. I'm not perfect. No, we're the only perfect person that ever existed was God the flesh, was Jesus Christ. Teaching's going good. Still enjoying it. I'm not burnt out yet. I'm reaching the kids. I'm still enjoying it. Still enjoy teaching them.
Money. But this is a spiritual war, right? This is humanity's war. This is beyond nation states. It is good and evil. And I don't care what God you believe in. When you have a predator class...
Ecumenicalism in the flesh. It's a spiritual war, but I don't care what God you believe in. Black and white, light and dark duality, great awakening type duality, satanic masonic duality, Kabbalistic duality. Because within God, there is no darkness, Jason. So that's the way you're going to frame it. I don't care what... I do care. I do care that you believe in the only God, the one true God, the God that is in the Bible, the God of all creation, and his Son, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I do honestly care because, your soul depends on it. The fate of your soul depends on it. Yes, thank you, Magical Mr. Church. BDK. I'd love to interview BDK. I make a frequency. I care. I love you enough to tell you that if you don't believe in the God of the Bible, if you don't believe in God the Father and Jesus Christ, if you don't believe that Jesus Christ was God in the flesh, that he died and on the third day resurrected from the dead. If you don't believe that, you will be cast into the outer darkness. You will be judged by God the Father, and you will get the white throne judgment. That is not the judgment you want. And you will be cast into the lake of fire to be separated from God for all eternity. I don't want that for anyone. I pray for my enemies. I pray for non-believers. I also pray for believers too, that they, maintain the faith, that they maintain their strength, that God blesses them. Yes, there's only one way to God, and that's through Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the only way, truth, and life. I love you enough to tell you the truth, and that is the truth. I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm not going to tell you anything different. I'm not going to tell you that Hindus go to heaven or Muslims go to heaven. Or Jews or any. There's only one way. There is only one way. And narrow is the path.
In a military-industrial complex that is openly talking about taking hold of the biological evolution of man, which they are, which we've played many times. Dennis Bushnell, chief scientist of NASA, openly stating that's where it's going to go. Warfare documents from NASA stating the genomic takeover of the species, bots, Borgs, and humans of 2020.
All right, there's really nothing left here. There's really nothing left here to play for this. Yes, you can call me a religious fanatic. As the DC Talk song says, I like to call myself a Jesus freak. It's the truth. I'm sorry you don't want to hear it. You want to put your fingers in your ear and go, la, 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 la. I'm sorry. It's the truth. You could call me a religious fanatic. I'm a Jesus freak, and I don't care. I don't care if that offends you, you get hurt by the truth, you don't want to hear it. It is what it is. Call me what you want. Call me what you want. But Jesus is the only way. Only way. All right, that is it. That's all I got. Take care, everybody. God bless you. Be in the Word, read the Word, be in prayer, deny thyself, abstain from sin. Things are getting tough. Things are getting tough. Inferior, no ES, but mistaken. There's a difference. They're mistaken, they're misguided, they're in error. All right, that's everything that I got. I'll probably do some streams this week. I'm out of school for Wednesday through Friday. There's a conference, a Christian private school conference I didn't go to. So I'll probably be able to do more streams. I'm going to keep this one up. I don't think I've said anything that I can't keep up. At least I don't think so anyway, that I can think of. I want to thank to the person who gave me this hat. Your fellow brother in Christ. If people might recognize who previously wore this hat beforehand. And I probably won't be the last person to wear this hat. But for that person, it represented a park ranger, and for me, it represents a sheriff. And I'm not going to try to hold people to the truth by guilt anymore. It doesn't work. But I still will point out people's contradictions and their illogical fallacies. I'm not coming on here, Jason, to put your face in the carpet for the mistake that you've made. I'm here to try to hold you to task, to politely let people know where you were wrong. And it is what it is. ES mentions I catch you being arrogant on conspiracy just a coincidence. It's not prideful to logically express something that is the truth. I'm not being arrogant in my belief in Bible believing Christianity by saying it is the only way. You may think that is, but you're mistaken. Now, there are a lot of things that I could be arrogant about and a lot of things that I am, and I'm working on that. But as far as the gospel, Jesus said it himself. Jesus committed no sin. You could think he's arrogant, but you're mistaken. All right, everybody, that is it for this evening. Take care, everybody. God bless. See you soon.